Hey, so during the past week I saw a video on YouTube by Josh from JHS Pedals where he explains how you can use pedals in parallel instead of series. This got me thinking that somebody maybe could find an example of this on bass useful, so that's what I'm going to do. So the principle is, if your pedals are in series, they come one after another and every pedal before the next one colors the next one. If your pedals are in parallel, they get your unaffected signal separately, after which they get combined. Now these two methods create completely different results with your same exact existing pedals. Having pedals in parallel is especially good for or useful for bass when you have drive, distortion or fuzz. Personally, I don't love or like distortion or bass. It always cuts the low end and I don't feel the sound really complements the guitars, which is your main job as a bass player, unless the part is a specific bass feature. I really like fuzz on bass, but it definitely cuts bass and removes all dynamics in your playing because it compresses the signal and break walls it. So then I'm stuck with overdrive, which works best for bass in my view, but the problem here is that I prefer the top end sizzle of a fuzz, but then I like the low end excitement of a drive, and if you could combine these two, it would be perfect, right? Obviously, there are pedals that can do this within the box, that have like internal parallel things happening. Most common example is probably the dark glass stuff. The Alpha Omega, it has a drive and a fuzz circuit, and the new Kaamos pedal, which has a drive and a sub-octave. But if you want to use pedals that you already own and you don't really like the sound of, this is a way of bringing them back and giving them a new life. In this video I use the trusty old Boss LS2, which can be used in this function. There are better options on the market, but this is the one I have. One feature that could improve the LS1 is having a phase switch, because sometimes pedals can cancel each other out and the sound isn't that great. Yeah, okay, enough explaining, let's go! Okay, this is my clean signal. I'm using the Brainworks SVT model and it sounds like this. Okay, let's add some drive. Okay, lacks a bit of the bottom end. Let's add some clean. Okay, could use with a little more drive. Okay, that sounds half decent in my view. Let's try to isolate the fuzz. The tone is halfway, the sustain is kind of halfway, and it sounds like this. Sounds very broken and nice, but it lacks the bass, so let's try pulling down the tone. Now it has a little bit more bass, but now it's kind of dull sounding, and I think that would still disappear in a mix. So let's push the tone knob. I like that sound, but it's completely unusable in a mix. But what happens if we combine the drive sound with the fuzz sound? Let's try it. Starting with the drive. Yeah, it doesn't really sound that exciting, does it? But now let's add some fuzz. So now when you combine the two signals, you have some clean, you have the low end rumble from the drive, and then you also have the top end sizzle from the fuzz. And that's kind of best of both worlds, but it's also a sound you couldn't create with only two pedals going in series. Yeah, let's try with a pick. Okay, let's try with some drums. This is the same thing, but with the pedals in series. Now, if you compare the signals where the drive and the fuzz is parallel and in series, you can see how much the fuzz compresses the series signal while the parallel signal has some dynamics in it, which is always great. Yeah, that's it. Pedals in parallel. Give it a go. See you next week. And remember,